Alrighty, so here we go. This is my opinion on Fire in His Blood, Book 1 of the Fire Blood Dragon series by Ruby Dixon. Before I get into the synopsis, quick announcement. My loan came through for the first book in the Night Huntress series, Halfway to the Grave, so Madness of Lord Mackenzie is getting bumped to next time, and I will be listening to Night Huntress next. So, anyway, here we go with synopsis time. Post-apocalyptic world, dragons have kicked everybody's ass. It starts out with our main heroine, Claudia, being in prison and being put on trial because she was scavenging outside of their fortress city, Fort Dallas, and she apparently is not her first time getting caught with this, so they're going to exile her from the city. And one of the guards is like, the captain of the militia that basically runs the town, runs the fort, is like, well, we've got this experiment. Can we use her? And the mayor, reluctantly, sure. And she's like, well, I'm good as dead either way, so, And you find out that she's getting left for bait for a dragon because apparently there's rumors coming out of Fort Orleans that a woman was able to tame a dragon, and now the dragon protects the city, so they're kind of hoping for the same thing to happen. She gets left up in a skyscraper in Old Dallas to wait a dragon, and one comes down, goes sniff sniff, and goes, I like you. So she ends up getting stuck with this dragon for a while. There's a lot of back and forth that goes on. They finally end up doing the do, because this is a split perspective book. You get both his and her perspectives. I'll get into my issues with that in a little bit, because you find out through him that when a dragon mates, they create a telepathic link with their mate, so he'll be able to communicate with her. They mate, she freaks out because he bites her and it hurts, and she panics and she bashes him on the head with a rock and then runs back home. You find out that the militia has her sister because they wanted some leverage over her in case she came back. She tries to go after her sister. It doesn't work. Kyle comes in and swoops her up and saves her. She explains the situation to him and goes, we need to go get my sister. They end up meeting a dragon buddy of his. There's a whole madness thing with the dragons that I will talk about in a minute. And they end up trying to go rescue her best friend and her sister. Shenaniganery happens. The best friend, Sasha, ends up getting taken away by the other dragon buddy, and they get Amy, they get out, and then it ends with a happily ever after of Claudia telling Kyle, that's the dragon, I don't think I said that, that she's pregnant, and they have a little dragon baby on the way. Happily ever after set up for book 2 is established. So, I have some issues with this world. First off, is that this takes place where all of humanity has basically been forced into these small fortress cities that no one is supposed to leave. That's one of the big things. That's Claudia is a scavenger, so she goes out beyond the city walls to scavenge for supplies from Old Dallas, bring them back and sell them on the black market, which is illegal, which makes no sense. This is a post-apocalyptic world. Why wouldn't the militia be sending out regular patrols to scout? Because also you find out that dragons attack pretty regularly. There's a set pattern to how they attack. So I'm like, why aren't they going out regularly, when they know, oh, the dragons aren't going to attack today, let's go scavenge. It didn't really make any sense for me. So going on with it, the thing with the split perspective that I didn't particularly care for was that somewhere between 90 and 95% of the book is all told from Claudia's perspective. Kyle's sections only pop up really infrequently, and I don't care for that in a book. If you're going to have a split perspective, split the perspective. Give it to us 50-50 between the two characters, not just 90% of the book from one character and then just every now and then throwing in the other one. I'm not a fan of that. So yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that. The other thing I didn't really like is that in the world of Fort Dallas, apparently there are no professions for women outside of a scavenger or a prostitute. I didn't like that. Women aren't even in the militia. There was no women are shopkeepers. I don't know if that was just to increase the desperation of our character's situation, but that really rubbed me the wrong way. So another thing I have to give fair warning about in this, There is a lot of possessive behavior from Kyle. Part of that comes from an aspect that I kind of like about this is that the dragons are truly alien. Like everything about them, their culture, everything is very different, which I liked. But the downside to that is there's a lot of mine, which gets really, really old, and I didn't really like it after a while. It's just, yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, and the other thing I gotta talk about with the dragons is their madness. So apparently, they got, I don't know, vacuumed into our world, and something about our world drives them crazy, and the only cure is if they find their mate. And that anchors them and it stops the madness. I don't know if that was something, they kind of make it sound like that was kind of a problem in their old world, but being in our world, like, cranks that shit to 11. So apparently, the way to end the dragon apocalypse is for everyone to go out and start banging dragons. That's another thing with this book, is it is a tease build up for the first half, but then once the banging happens, there's a lot of it. It's one of those ones where it gets kind of old towards the end, where you're like, okay, can we get to a plot? So yeah, it was just, and the setup for the sequel in this one is for Sasha, her best friend, getting swooped up, and I'm just not that interested in it, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it just, nothing about this world really grabbed me. Like, one of the things I wanted to do was there's a point where Kyle doesn't speak English. Like, he has no grasp of the English language. And I was like, oh, are we going to get some, like, Tarzan and Jane stuff where she's teaching him the language? But he's just, like, not interested at all in learning English because he's just like, oh, once we mate and we have the telepathic bond, we don't need it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. And it honestly felt, this one I'll say is pretty wish fulfillment-y because Kyle's basically entire point of existence after he finds Claudia is just to take care of her and make sure she is safe and happy and provided for and seriously sexed up, and then she just exists to be pampered and worshipped by him. So the relationship dynamic was just pretty wish fulfilling, which, I mean, if you're in the mood for something like that, it's fine, but it wasn't very intriguing to listen to when it was just him being overprotective and her having her issues about he's a dragon, oh my god, he's the enemy, but then getting over that by the end and happily ever after. So yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of this one. I'll give it probably a 2.75 out of 5. Yeah, just didn't really do it for me. It was a cool idea. It had some cool concepts, but yeah, it just didn't really do it for me. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to talk about with the dragons was the bulletproof nature of dragons. In this world, dragons are bulletproof, which is fine, but there's points in this where there's like the militia and they're just like actively shooting at the dragons, and I'm just like, why are you wasting your bullets? Why? It doesn't do anything. Like, guns are really, I think, only used for hunting and for screwing with other people because they don't work on the dragons. And I found it kind of hard to believe that not even modern military equipment was able to take these dragons down. Like, come on, we got some anti-tank weaponry that I think might be able to do the trick, but anyway, that was just something where I was like, really? We didn't stand a chance against the dragons? Okay, whatever. So yeah, Fire in His Blood, 2.75. If it sounds like something you're interested in, cool, but hey, that's just my opinion. If you disagree, that's totally cool. If there's something you would like to see me take a crack at in the future, leave your comments down below, and I'll talk to you guys in a little while.